goodness.
Oh, great fun.
Now, welcome back to the 6 o'clock show. We're now diving into a news talk show that's sharing stories from diverse communities across our nation.
Yes, Unified is giving a voice to the new Ireland. But before we chat to its presenter, Mamobo Ogoro, let's find out more about her.
News Talk has a brand new show with me. My name is Mamobo Ogoro. I'm a social psychologist and I'm the founder of GURM. It's pretty clear that Ireland is more diverse than ever. But in my work, I've always wondered, do we actually engage with each other, or what I like to say, unify across our differences? I'll be looking at different and diverse communities here in Ireland. Why? Because there's no unity without you.
It's great to welcome to the 6 o'clock show, Mamobo. Hello. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, your background is in social psychology. You're also the founder of GURM, and you've got this brand new show on News Talk called Unified. So tell us all about the show and where the idea came from as well.
Yeah, so the show is all around different and diverse voices in Ireland. So everybody's well aware that Ireland is a budding place full of different communities, different people, different backgrounds. But one thing I always wonder to myself is that even though we have all this diversity, are we actually engaging with each other? And particularly when you come from an underrepresented community, are your stories being heard? So when News Talk came to me with this, I was like giving loads of ideas of different people, and they were like, no, we actually want you to be the host. And I was like, goodness. So I think the reason why they came back to me to the show is that because of the background in social psychology that I have. So a lot of people presume that, all psychologists are the same, but social psychologists are a bit different, where we look at different groups. So we study how group dynamics engage with each other. So the show kind of helps understand the different groups and different communities that exist in Ireland.
Yeah, Mamobo, I suppose, do you think Ireland's diversity reflects the trends seen in other countries?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think Ireland, of course, we know it's very diverse now. And before, I kind of used to think that Ireland is kind of going in a different direction in terms of the diversity. But with all the kind of budding divisions and budding polarization that we're seeing now, a part of me feels that, okay, are we actually moving into the direction of other multicultural societies such as France or US? But there's still a bit of hope that I believe that still exists in Ireland. I truly believe that most people in Ireland understand that everybody is worthy of human dignity and respect. So the show that we want to have is to kind of explore those different voices, the different humanity levels that we have in our country, and really bring communities together. Because if we are pulling apart, we'll see what we're seeing on the streets now of people protesting, of riots, everything like that. So we need to actually find spaces where we can come together.
Yeah, and it's all in the name of the show, Unified. And in the show, you interview people from all walks of life. So tell us about a couple of the people that you have on, and also what you're hoping listeners will learn from those stories.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to the voices of people in different diverse backgrounds, a lot of times when we want to reduce prejudice and when we want to increase empathy, there's a term that we have in social psychology called positive intergroup interactions. That basically means when you want to reduce empathy, when you want to increase empathy and reduce prejudice, you need to hear the stories, you need to meet people, you need to have positive experiences from people from different backgrounds. So basically, with the show, we want to highlight those voices and have the listeners feel and hear the stories of those people from those different and diverse backgrounds, particularly those who come from marginalized communities. So we speak to so many people, and I'm just kind of taken aback with the amount of voice and the diversity that we have here, and the intersectionality of identities that we have in Ireland. So some of the stories that we've heard, we had a rapper that came out, her name was Kami Katana, and she was a Japanese South African rapper who had transitioned in her gender, and she was speaking about how her identity and how her experience as a migrant and also trans person informs her artwork. So that was really great in terms of hearing those stories. And recently, and that's going to be coming out very soon, we were talking about the realities of being a carer in Ireland. I was really taken aback, and you'll hear it very soon, but I was really taken aback as to the realities of being a carer to someone 24/7. So these are the kind of stories that we don't really hear.
Fascinating, really, aren't they?
You know? And real life stories as well, that I think is important to hear. Now, when it comes to getting to know you a little bit better, you grew up in Wexford, right?
Yeah, I did.
What was that experience like? I mean, I grew up in Blanche, and where there is discrimination here and there were plenty of black people. What was that like in Wexford?
Oh my God, I remember growing up. So I have have cousins in Galway as well. So Galway's was kind of like Blanchard. There's a lot of black people there, and they used to kind of make fun of us because there was like nobody, and we rarely saw ourselves in like small town in Enniscorthy, County Wexford. But I think experiences that I had growing up, and there was experiences of racism, xenophobia, and just downright nastiness sometimes. Those experiences really informed my curiosity to really understand why people hate and why prejudice exists. Because as a child growing up in Ireland, I didn't see myself as different. Nobody sees themselves as different, or nobody sees themselves from like a marginalized or underrepresented background. So those experiences that I had growing up really informed my curiosity to be like, okay, you need to look into why people hate, why prejudice exists, and how we can really dismantle that and really unify, come together.
And I suppose when we talk about prejudice and why people hate, it's a minority in Ireland, but a loud minority, like you described it, because the majority of the country do want what we want, progression.
Exactly.
Integration.
I wholeheartedly believe that majority of Irish people believe that everybody is worthy of human dignity and respect. But a lot of times we really kind of don't know how to engage with differences. We don't know how to interact. We don't know how to communicate when someone comes from a totally different world. So this podcast wants us to kind of hear from those stories. And when we hear the stories, we start to interact. Oh, if I heard someone that's from this community, and I'm meeting someone now from that community. Now you know how to sort of interact, spark conversation, bridge across your differences. So it's very important for us to kind of start engaging with those stories.
Yeah. And yourself, you identify as a queer person, and you come from a Nigerian background as well. What was that like, navigating conversations with family, whether it was back home or even parents and aunties?
Oh, it's like, I consider myself a unifier, and anybody in our community, in my organization, we call our community a community of unifiers, and people think it's like all rainbows and sunshine every single day. It's actually quite difficult because you're always in the space of trying to bridge across differences, trying to get people to understand from the other side. And it's not just experiences that I had, the xenophobia and racism growing up. I had a lot of, like when you don't come out as a young person, you have a lot of internalized homophobia and internalized biphobia as well. So in having those conversations with my family now, it's still an uphill battle. It's still an uphill battle, and it's still trying to get the members of my family to really understand that I'm still just a human being like anybody else. And because they come from a very Christian fundamentalist background, it's not my job to change anybody's mind. And when you are a unifier, it's not your job to change anybody's mind.
But it does take time.
It takes time for them to see.
Mamobo, as Ireland navigates its cultural identity, what actions should the government, or can the government, take to kind of foster unity without causing the division, like you mentioned earlier on, that we're seeing at the moment?
Yeah, so there are many different ways that we can actually start on a group level and more on a systemic government level. And the government are doing so much work to actually bridge communities, allow communities to come together. But I feel like sometimes it's quite difficult because you're not on the ground with the people all the time. So what I say is that a lot of work needs to be done in intercultural communication and intercultural engagement between communities. Because a lot of times when you have a multicultural reality or multicultural society, people are just in their own boxes. And when you kind of see, oh, what are those people over there? Prejudice starts to build again. So there needs to be a lot of tactical intercultural engagement. And I feel there needs to be like a strategy kind of built to build intercultural communication engagement between communities so that local communities from different backgrounds can start to come together.
So obviously the Olympics, Mamobo, are in full swing at the moment. Are you watching?
I am watching. I'm trying to keep up to date.
So we have so many athletes. We have 133, including Rashida Adeleke from Tala. You know, how does she inspire Irish girls from diverse backgrounds?
Yeah, I think if I had someone like Rashida when I was growing up, I probably would be in a totally different profession at this point, because
you'd be a track star.
I'll be a track star. Yeah, she's a track star. Basically,
you'd be pole vaulting.
Yeah, pole vaulting. I'll be sprinting, swimming, whatever. She's a huge inspiration to black girls growing up, even all girls growing up, because she has just been a winner, a star when it comes to her sport.
Yeah, we absolutely love her and we champion her every day.
We loved our conversation.
Every chance we can.
Really did, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Mamobo.
Very insightful.
All right, Mamobo is staying with us, and you can listen to Unified on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on News Talk, or of course you can listen to the podcast on the Go Loud app.
Well worth a listen. Now, next up, Ireland's true force of nature in Ilana will be gracing our couch. Prepare for some wild revelations, Katia. We'll see you after this quick break.